Good morning, traders. Today is Wednesday, June 22nd. My name is Charles, and this is the Pirate Traders live stream. The title for this morning, A Gap Inside a Gap Inside a Gap. What the heck is the market doing? Okay, so if we look, we gapped down from here to here last week. Then we gapped up on Tuesday from here to here. And now we are gapping down from here to here. So what we've got in this, larger sort of balancing area that the market is beginning to build here is we've got a large volume of node up here, a large volume of node down here, and very thin volume in between because the market's just been gapping right through it over and over again. It's been jumping right through this area. So to me, there's kind of two ways this plays out. We either head back up to this node right here, looking to break out to the upside, head back down to this node right here, looking to break out to the downside, or door number C, rotation in between the two. So kind of like just spending a day rotating in this kind of range, pretty much inside the overnight range, and just sort of bringing in volume in this middle area that we've gapped through a couple of times. Any of those scenarios could play out today. I think the highest probability is rotation inside the overnight range. But what I'll be looking for first thing this morning when the opening bell rings here in about 4 minutes is an attempt to fill the gap, right? We have a gap down. So the first order of business for the market will be to try to head back up to yesterday's low and fill that gap. If it cannot get to yesterday's low, if it tries to get up there and it gets resistance and starts heading lower, or it gets up to yesterday's low, finds resistance there, which I believe would be a high probability. If we did test yesterday's low, I do think there will be resistance. But if we head up there and we find resistance and then we continue lower, both of those scenarios are what we call a gap and go to the downside, which are bearish. In the same way, the gap and go to the upside that we had yesterday was bullish and got us continuation higher. If we get a gap and go to the downside, we can expect continuation lower. So the first potential support area in that case would be the overnight lows, this general, say, 3,700 area. If we break that and we start to head lower, I would be looking for a repair of the weak references we left behind last week at 36.68 and 36.58. I'm, of course, monitoring for continuation lower once we repair those, but I think we'd probably find support there. So I wouldn't fall in love with a trade beyond that if I was short. Be looking for support, as this could be a balance area low in here. We may just need to repair these, and then we can head back up. So if we break that overnight low, I would target the repair of those, but I wouldn't be in love with anything beyond it. And to the upside, if we can get back up to yesterday's low and then not find resistance, if we push up to yesterday's low and we continue higher, I would look to test that big node we were bouncing around yesterday at 37.75. So long story short, we break the overnight low, heading lower. We break yesterday's low, heading higher. But anything in the middle, I would expect chop. So first order of business, can they fill the gap? Market is open in 2 minutes. And just for the record, the gap up from last week, from Friday, is still not filled, even though we filled it in the overnight. It has to be filled by the regular trading hours. So that's why I say I feel like some rotation in here might be due, because we got multiple gaps, both directions, a gap inside a gap. Oh, I also quickly, we got one more minute before the market opens. I just wanted to show this, made me laugh this morning. Opening up, the Fed chair is going to start speaking in a moment. Reading these two headlines from Fed's Harker. A 75 basis point hike will help us get to a neutral stance. If demand softens quicker than I anticipate, a 50 basis point hike in July may be good. Gotta love that. Little double speak. 50 basis points is good. 75 is good. I will link this video in the chat as well, so that you guys can check that out at Market Open if you want. Oh, there we go. The market is open. So first order of business, filling the gap back up to 37.35. Do we find resistance there? All right, so they're going for the gap fill. Target 37.35. We're, of course, looking for resistance there at yesterday's low. Do sellers start to pile on there? All right, there's the gap filled. Looking for resistance. Okay, does resistance become support? Does yesterday's low start to bring in buyers? All right, well, I'm bullish on the very short term right now on a push up to test 75. That is on the lack of resistance at yesterday's low, pulling back up into yesterday's range. Increases the odds they want to go test that big node. Once again, looking for support at yesterday's low. Uh-oh, getting resistance. So I go back to neutral if we pass through the opening, the halfback. All right, faked out. Sorry, guys. My bad. I let them get me with the counter auction of the overnight inventory. That does count as resistance at yesterday's low. So it is a gap and go, which is bearish. So at this point, if we pass back through the opening price, back through 37.24, I'd be looking to head down and fill the gap we still have left behind from yesterday. Target being 37.12 for a repair of that gap. That is if we pass back through 37.24. All right, still getting resistance at yesterday's low. So as they're pushing back up into yesterday's range, I'm not going to get bullish again like I did before until we see how the ticks react to the zero line. Do new sellers pile on there? Because it may just be we're still absorbing that overnight inventory. Which was net short and would need to cover those shorts. Gonzalo, leave a like for Charles. Yes, please. Where are we at? 35 likes, 150 people here, and only 35 of you think I'm an all right person, appreciate me as a human being, and want to support what I'm doing here. Come on, smash that like. Resistance again. Bearish. Coffee Hack, we're busy trading, bro. Yeah, I was too busy to ask. I forgot to ask. Can't be messing around on a gap and go morning. You got to be on point the second the market opens. More resistance. Still, market has not been able to get back to the zero line. Sellers just won't give them a chance. They just keep punching the buyers right in the chin. Okay, so once again, if we pass back through the opening price, 37.24, I'll be looking for a repair, or a backfill of the gap we left behind from Friday. Scooball, if we get support at the opening, it's a chop market. You got it, brother. Or if we get support at this high at 37.12, then we're going to have chop. John Lash, this feels like a balanced day going sideways unless we can break one way. I agree. We are clearly in the middle of a balance area. And that gap on that gap on that gap tells us we got to spend some time in here. We keep jumping over this section. We got to bring in some volume, do some business in here before we'll be ready to move on. Okay, more sellers. Still counts as a gap and go. Still counts as momentum. Can the buyers get above the zero line with the ticks? Nope. Resistance. Once again. Punched in the chin. How many times are these buyers going to take it? How much longer will they keep buying and get nothing for it? Moment of truth above zero. Can they hold it? Can new buyers step in here? If not, we're heading lower. We're going downtown. Okay, resistance once again. At this point, having filled the gap, this is the buyer's chance to bring in new buyers if they want to start to take the market higher from here. If they fail to do so, it would be bearish to try to go fill that gap we left behind. So at this point, if they come back through the halfback, 37.32, I'd be looking to head down and fill that gap below. They should be able to bring in the buyers here if they're going to take the market higher. JTrader heading for the global X high? Not yet. This still feels like rotation to me. I'm not going to get bullish in any way, shape, or form until they get those ticks above the zero line and they keep them there. Right now, this might just be kind of a grindy market. I mean, it would seem we filled the gap and now we're finding support inside yesterday's range, which should be bullish. But why can't we get those ticks above the zero line? What's the market trying to tell us? Resistance again. Xavier, how can we tell if new buyers are stepping in? It's always just about where the buying and selling is taking place, right? So when the market opened all the way down here, you knew two things. There were going to be buyers who were covering shorts from the overnight, right? Covering a short is the same thing as going long. And there were going to be buyers who were going to go long to target getting to yesterday's low. So you had two sets of people going long, overnight covering and new money buyers trying to fill the gap. So once we got back to yesterday's low, once we got back into yesterday's range, well, then it has to be new buyers, right? There's no reason for shorts from the overnight to keep covering here. They will have already taken profits at this point. So that long momentum disappears. And the buyers who went long to fill the gap will have taken profits in here. So that long momentum disappears. So the only way to keep going once you get back into the previous day's range is if new buyers step in who want to take the market to the next target above. So that's kind of how I judge where it's new or old business. Sorry, I got to jump for just 2 minutes to make some coffee. Keep a close eye on that halfback, 37.32. If that breaks, they're taking the market lower. All right, and just like that, they got the ticks back above the zero line inside the previous day's range. That was the confirmation I needed to get bullish that we did have new buyers. So now we're looking to test the 37.75 node right here. And I do think it would be fair to say a repair of the weak M period high is in order. 37.80. Of course, this push that we're getting right here is more short covering. That's the new shorts that we're just piling on right here. They are now getting squeezed. So we will look for the market to pull back and find support. It might be at 37.49, or it might be down here around 37.42. For continuation, to head up and test that node at 75. Ah, Phoenix. There you go. There's our explanation. Pal said something. That makes sense. All right, so with that bot buying based on something that Powell said, we've left behind very thin volume. So we do need to pull back down and backfill these low volume nodes. I find that the market generally wants to have traded at least 200 contracts at each level within the range. So when I see something like 75 contracts, 81 contracts, even 140, I think it means the market might need to come back in here and backfill a little bit, looking for support. Let's go see what Papa said that they liked so much. Maybe it was this. Fed rate hikes will not bring down food or gas prices. They love it when he tells the truth. So once again, we got lots of resistance above us. So to get through that, the market would have to have good, strong hands holding the inventory. And those strong hands will be waiting to buy support. Andy, do I use a footprint chart? I do not. What you see on screen is everything I use. Just the market profile and the market internals. All right, so we're backfilling those first low volume nodes. Looking to get at least 200 contracts. There you go. One more set that needs backfilling here. All right, so as we backfill these low volume nodes around 37.50, we may get support there if that's enough to bring in the buyers. If not, we'll look for support down at the halfback around 37.40. Okay, we brought in a little bit of volume. Not quite enough. I'd like to see 200 contracts. There we go. So do we get support here? If not, at the halfback. Man, these do not look like bullish internals. It's feeling like a rotational day. Probably stuck inside the overnight range all day. All right, well, that's twice today I've misfired on the bullish banner. It is bullish that we pulled back up into the previous day's range and that we're finding support up in here. But just everything about it feels weird to me right now. It feels like rotation. These ticks just keep getting slapped down every time the buyers try to take control. And that's not what happens when the market is bullish. So I'm still looking for support at the halfback, but I'm thinking we may get resistance up here around this node we just created at 3760 and just get chop. Once again, ticks slap down. Not feeling super bullish if the buyers cannot maintain control. Elliot, if we do start to balance the rest of the day, I hope we get a decent sized balance area. I can tell you the size of the balance area. It's from node to node. It'll be between there to there. Bam, bam. That'll be the balance area. Pretty much the range of the overnight. All right, testing this resistance once more. All right, created a poor high. Poor high increases the odds of a repair. Repairing is the market initial balance to the upside, which is bullish. Oh man, what a fucking hard market to read this morning. All right, so it looks like we are, in fact, heading up to test 35.75, that node of volume that we were stuck in yesterday. As I've been saying all morning, I expect some resistance there. So we may just need to head up and repair that weak M period high, and then we start to sell off again. But at the moment, that is the target to the upside. What a crazy market. They did not want to make it easy this morning. $7 Mile Reach still neutral? Yeah, I mean, not really. Obviously, now I'm bullish, but I'm not going to change the banner right now because I don't want anybody going long here. Even though I think that weak reference up at 37.80 needs repair, I think it's going to be a very hard grind to get up there. So I think you're better off waiting for a pullback and buying support. So I'll change the banner to bullish if we pull back down to support and we find good support. Has anybody been listening to the Fed chairman? Has he been saying bullish stuff? RK says not every rally is short covering. It isn't a bear market, my friend. That's kind of the whole point. Market gets itself overly short, overly fast, and then it needs a rally to absorb some of that inventory, and then it starts the process of selling again. RK, funny when I buy, I'm not covering shorts. Yeah, not literally every single trader. But I bet you're not buying to hold on to it for the next 2 weeks. I bet you're buying to take profits in the next 30 minutes. So that makes you a FOMO buyer, my friend, a short-term trader. And you count as a short covering. You're part of that same group. Well, thoroughly impressed with the lack of resistance here inside yesterday's rotational area. Do we just grab orders at yesterday's high and fall again? Very possible. That's how balance areas work. You get up to the high and then you turn around and head right back down. Let me just zoom out here and see what the balance area could be. I don't know. It could go either way, man. Same as yesterday. So yesterday, what I was looking for the market to try to do was to push above this node and come back down and find support there, because then that would be very bullish for a continuation to the upside. And it obviously couldn't do that. It pushed up and then it immediately failed back down and just rotated. But if they could do that today, if they can get above yesterday's high and then come back down and find support there, that could be very bullish to head higher. But what's more likely is, like we say, look above, fail, head right back down. Still have weakness we've left below. Unresolved business. All right, there's the repair of that weak M period high we left behind yesterday. So that was the magnet pulling on price. Now the magnet has disappeared. Do the buyers keep stepping in, or do they start to run out up here? Fuck, more buyers. All right, looking to test yesterday's high. So once again, if they can push above yesterday's high and come back down and find support, that will get me bullish for continuation. All right, well, as we're getting ready to switch to the C period here, I'll be switching to the private stream. So as far as what to leave you here today, I don't have any really solid advice, unfortunately. At this point, it's doing one of two things. Some sort of change has taken place in the market this morning. And we know that because it's very, very rare that you have a gap down, meaning you're opening the day with momentum to the downside, and then you instantly turn around and go up and break the previous day's high. Right? That's extremely rare. The thought is, if the market was bullish, why the heck didn't they do it in the overnight? Why didn't they head up higher than yesterday's high? Why bring it all the way down here just to turn around and head all the way back up to there? To me, that sort of weird movement is a sign that there's been some kind of change that's taken place in the market this morning. I can't tell you what it is, but something bullish has happened. So at the moment, I'm looking for support at yesterday's high. And as long as we continue to find new buyers above yesterday's high, I will look for continuation to the upside. But if we pull back down, okay, back down into yesterday's range, we could have a look above and fail, and we could head all the way back down. So it's very risky doing business right in here. It's better to kind of wait for the market to break out and then catch the momentum up, or wait for the market to break down and then catch the momentum down. It is kind of a guessing game right here. But just everything about the way the market has moved this morning is so weird. Right where we should have gotten a ton of resistance, where they got the resistance in the overnight, where we got the resistance yesterday, we just went right through it. No problem. Very weird. Leaving behind these single prints in the B period increases the odds the market will pull back down to backfill those. That, of course, would trigger a look above and fail of the previous day's range and would be bearish. So trade with caution out there, folks. Something's happening here. And what it is ain't exactly clear. Have a great day. We'll see y'all tomorrow morning.